my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be my summer TBR. So for my summer TBR, I typically look for things that I want to read in warm weather, things that take place in water, or sound watery, or just incorporate water in some way. I'm honestly not really that picky about it. And then I also just like to choose things that I either read in past summers or are associated with something that I read in a past summer and enjoyed. I will have the content warnings for everything that I can find linked down below in the description, along with some resources. I have 4 books, a manga series, and an audiobook to talk about today. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. We are going to be starting off with that audiobook, which is going to be Behind You is the Sea by Susan Muaddi Darraj. And this follows the lives of 3 families who are all from Palestine and who have all had a different welcome into America. Did I choose this book because it has the word sea in the title? Yes. And I'm honestly not even sure about how summery this is going to be, but like I said earlier, I'm not that picky. And even just listening to this in the summer will be enough to make it summery for me at some point. Otherwise, I've had quite a few really good times with audiobooks that tell stories of characters and their families, and listening to audiobook versions of those stories have helped really make everything come to life and also just helped me get really invested in them. So I'm hoping that listening to this one goes similarly. Storygraph also says that this book is going to confront stereotypes about Palestinian culture as well. And yeah, I think this is going to be a good listen. And next up is Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. And this follows our main character who is cursed with a serpent's face, and her father offers her up as a sacrifice to the demon witch, making her the opposite of her beautiful sister, who is the only person that doesn't see her as a monster after the curse. When her sister is going to be married off to the winner of a contest, she is the only person who is able to defend her from the cruelest of suitors, making her his target in the process. So if you don't know already, the 6 Crimson Cranes duology by this author is just one of my favorite things ever, and this is the prequel to that, and that is more than enough for me to know that I need to read this. 6 Crimson Cranes was always a spring series for me, but I do think The Dragon's Promise was watery enough to send it over the summer, although I did read that book late spring. I also read Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk in the summer, so this book fully makes sense to me for this TBR. It also definitely helps that I read and loved when The Dragon's Promise dove into this story. There's a lot about this book that I am really interested in, but I'm especially interested in the characters and also the writing style, because Elizabeth Lim has just also written some of my favorite atmospheres ever, and I am so excited to finally read this. Next up is Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is the 3rd book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, the first book being Black Sun. And Black Sun is inspired by the civilizations of the pre-Columbian Americas, and it takes place in a city called Tova around the time of the winter solstice, which is usually a time for celebration and renewal, or it would be, but this year the solstice is around the same time as a solar eclipse, which according to the Sun Priest signifies an unbalancing of the world. At the same time, a ship begins its adventure towards Tova carrying a seemingly harmless passenger, but the captain does have her suspicions about him. So I read the 2nd book, Fevered Star, in the summer, and it was very hot outside when I read it, and that memory has stuck with me. And it also just so happens that this book is looking kind of watery based on the cover. I also do tend to get very lost in this series at times in a way that I really love, and I'm looking forward to just getting back into that for sure. Next up is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen, and Skin of the Sea is a debut that is inspired by West African mythology, and it follows our main character who, after praying to the gods, now serves them as a Mami Wata, collecting the souls of those who have died at sea and blessing their journeys home. After she saves a boy who was thrown overboard from drowning, breaking an ancient decree by doing so, she must travel to the Supreme Creator and make amends and save all of the other mermaids. But she runs into dangers at every turn, and the boy that she rescued knows much more than he really should. I feel like I saw this book just like all over social media for a very long time. It's been on my TBR ever since I first saw it then, and I'm pretty sure it's been a couple of years now, so it's been a while, but I am very much still interested in this story. I'm excited for the mermaids and all of the fantasy. I've also been really loving books and stories in general that follow some sort of traveling journey, and this sounds like it's going to be one of those, and it also just sounds like it's going to have a lot of really cool elements and beings. The blurb on Storygraph says this is a mix between Children of Blood and Bone and The Little Mermaid, which sounds like an amazing combination, and hopefully it will be. Next up is The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwreck by Mackenzi, which is the 3rd book in the Montague siblings trilogy, the 1st book being The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And Gentleman's Guide follows our main character whose grand tour of Europe and quest for pleasure and vice is in danger. After the tour is over, he will be forced into taking over his family's family's estate and following all of the rules and responsibilities that come with that. Therefore, he is determined to make the most out of this year-long tour with his sister and childhood friend slash crush, but his recklessness turns this trip into a manhunt across Europe. I meant to read this last summer, it just didn't happen. So I want to try that again, and I'm looking forward to getting to know this third sibling, because I feel like we haven't really gotten to know him that much over the course of the rest of the series, beyond just his general existence. I also just really love the other two siblings and just a lot of the characters from this series, and I'm definitely excited to see them again, assuming that they're in here somewhere. And I am kind of sad that this is the final one. I feel like I've been reading this series since the first year that I really started getting into reading, and it's also just one of the main series that I think of when I think of summer, thanks to Ladies' Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, and also The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky. And I'm looking forward to hopefully finally adding this book to that list, just like I wanted to last year. Finally, we have The Summer Hikaru Died by Mokumokuren, and this follows two boys who lived in a village and did everything together, until one of them, Hikaru, was encompassed by a mysterious light, changing him forever, when all his friend really wants to do is stay by his side. I feel like I only recently started learning things about this story, like I didn't know that it was horror or that it had LGBTQ+ themes, but knowing those things has only made me even more excited to read this, and honestly also extremely curious to see what this series has going on. This is also getting an anime adaptation at some point in the future, which could be very exciting for me if this goes well, and I'm assuming it will, so I definitely want to check this out before that happens. I also don't own the third volume yet, which I will probably let slow me down at some point this summer when it comes to reading and completing this series, but I do have the first two, so that is a problem for future me. Okay, so that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye.